Buenas Micronesia, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Thank you for joining us. It is September 16, Monday in 2019, the year of our Lord. Welcome to all our viewers in Guam, Saipan, Luteds, and Tinian, all throughout Micronesia, in Palau, in the Republic of the Marshall Islands, throughout the Federated States of Micronesia. Aloha to our fans in Hawaii. Hafaday to all of our fans throughout the United States of America.
New York.
Oh, I love New York.
Yeah.
You know what New York doesn't have?
What?
Dengue virus. Japan, Colombia, Europe, especially those of you overseas who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. Just know that while you're out there risking your lives for our freedom, the governor is here risking our lives with dengue fever. We'll get to it.
Yes,
we'll
we
get
will.
to it. So,
please don't forget to like and share our page.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow us on YouTube. I think we're gonna try to transition over there.
Oh, I forgot. I keep forgetting about this. So our website is kind of almost ready. If you go to www.kanditnews.com and scroll to the bottom of the page, you're able to subscribe, because what we're going to be doing, and maybe some of you have already started to get our email updates, is send out our stuff using the website as our platform. So like if you subscribe to www.kanditnews.com, it will link to all of our Facebook, YouTube, and whatever stuff, and you'll get the news first from Kandit. Except, of course, when we go live.
Yeah.
When we go live on Facebook and on YouTube, I mean, as long as you get the notifications, what do you have to do? You have to click something?
Yeah, you go to follow. Click that and see first.
See first. Okay, cool. So,
Yes.
how was your day?
It was good.
It was. I put this shirt on about 40 minutes ago, and about 38 minutes ago, I got 2 spaghetti sauce stains, just so you know.
I warned him. I said, Troy.
And I warned her right back. I said, too late, Cello, it's going to happen in the next 30 seconds. As soon as I ate the spaghetti. She made really good spaghetti. So let's move on to our very first segment of the night, according to our new format that we're very proud of. We have teleprompters, okay? Now, we never said we knew how to operate teleprompters. We just have them. So
We are winging it.
However, this first segment has nothing to do with teleprompters. It's called The Good Stuff because it's just all the miniature stories, the not as
No, it is important.
They are important, but they're not as controversial. Maybe.
Yeah.
They're not as fun to make fun of the government kind of stories.
It's just a blah.
Yeah. So let's start with our bumper on the good stuff. So the first story that we're going to go over, well, actually Johnny's going to bring it to us. It's about the roundtable discussion that will be happening this Thursday, thanks to Senator Therese Terlahi. She sent a letter to Speaker Tina Mooney Barnes today and the rest of the senators describing the 3 hearings that she's going to be having and some more details on it. So let's hear
And this is what we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
We were wondering what the 3 meetings were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what they were going to entail and who's invited. I know everybody's invited, but certain meetings are for certain areas of the medical malpractice arbitration law. So, Hafaday Speaker Munir Barnes and colleagues, as chairperson of the Legislature's Committee on Health, I invite you to participate in a series of informational hearings as part of the committee's efforts to examine Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. The goal of the first hearing on September 19 at 2 p.m., that is this Thursday, is to present senators and the public with basic background of the malpractice law and prior cases interpreting the said law. I have invited the Attorney General of Guam to briefly discuss and distinguish the law governing claims against the government and government health professionals. I have invited Attorney Mitch Thompson, who represents several providers, including Seventh-day Adventist Clinic, to present an overview of Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act and a few of the relevant past cases. To accommodate for any differing interpretation or caution regarding the law or the cases, I am also inviting input from those lawyers who affirmatively responded to the Guam Bar Association's call out for lawyers interested in assisting the Guam legislature with examination of Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. Senators will be allowed to ask questions of the panel following the presentation of any testimony. Following the information from the lawyers, there will be an opportunity at the first hearing for a limited number of patients or the general public to comment. Health professionals will be invited to a second hearing on October 3rd, 2019 at 5 p.m. to focus on the impacts of the current law on their practice, on whether the law ensures the appropriate standard of care on Guam, and the impacts of the law on the availability of qualified health professionals. I have invited the heads of the Guam Medical Association and the Guam Medical Society to lead the health professionals panel. The second hearing will also allow limited testimony from patients and the general public. Following the second hearing, I am extending an open invitation to the legal and health professionals, along with the public, to submit suggestions for reform or arguments against reform, which will be more fully considered at a third hearing on November 7, 2019 at 2 p.m. The committee is particularly interested in input as to whether the law can be improved to better protect patients and to ensure an appropriate standard of care. The third hearing will also allow testimony from patients and the general public. These hearings are for informational purposes only, to allow senators to hear suggestions and make inquiry towards formulation of legislation. Note that as of today, no bill has been introduced during this legislative term to revise the current Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. A separate public hearing is still required on any bill that might be introduced to specifically amend the law. The above described schedule is subject to change, especially if a bill is introduced or if the legislative session is scheduled during these times. Sincerely, Therese M. Terlahi.
Which it sounds like a very organized effort, and it sounds like very thoughtfully laid out. I just wish, and maybe, I understand there are people who go to the legislature and just sprout off, and maybe they just like to hear themselves talk or whatever. So maybe that's why they're talking about limited patient and general public input or whatever. But
I think after everybody I think this is great because the first two meetings are going to be fact based, right?
And then we would hope.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fact based, and then the general public is going to be the third meeting because by then we should be able to understand.
I think that's what she's trying to do.
Yes. Yeah, so bravo.
Yeah. Good job, Senator Terlahi. Great job. Of course,
yes.
Like almost everything she does, we're like, we love you.
Yeah. Almost stalker status.
Not like single white female bathroom scene.
Yeah. No.
So. This is great news all around. The very first hearing is this Thursday at what time? 2 p.m.?
Yes.
At the public hearing room at the Guam Congress Building. That's the one right across from the cathedral. If you're able to go, please do and show your support for the repeal of the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act in support of Mr. Lebowski, Twyla Taidagui, Monica De Vera, and all others who are in this fight, not because they're trying to save their children, because they've lost their children already. They're trying to save your children. That's why they're fighting for this.
Troy, there's also some concern. I can't really talk about the case, but there's parents who have come forward who's currently being mistreated.
Wow.
So I would want them to come, and
Can you encourage them to go to the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. I did speak with a senator who asked to remain anonymous, at least for now.
Okay.
Who brought up a very good point about something. This senator said that, I'll tell you afterward. This senator said that that this senator believes there are some doctors who will come with the argument that if you repeal this Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act, then we're going to leave off island. And there's a point here that the senator makes, is
go.
that Guam has the strictest, or Guam has the, there's no other state or jurisdiction in the United States that has a malpractice act like we do.
Of course.
So, like, it is easiest for a bad doctor to practice here than it is anywhere else in the nation. So, by that standard, everywhere else in the nation is more strict on these doctors. So, if we change our Medical Malpractice Act and they're saying they're going to leave to what? Leave to another jurisdiction where
you can't
harder?
practice?
You're gonna leave.
And they're not even going to accept you. Goodbye.
Because you're a bad doctor.
Right.
And so good riddance.
Yes.
Good riddance if you're a bad doctor. We don't want you on Guam. We don't need you cutting up our people and leaving scissors inside.
Or not sewing up their intestine and then they get sick.
Who was that mother that they cut her? They cut her kidney or they cut her stomach
something.
or her liver or something, diaphragm after she gave birth through cesarean.
Yes.
My goodness. I wish we could know the names of these quack doctors. So anyway, there's that story, and then there was the story.
The governor was busy on Friday. Troy?
Oh yeah? Where was she?
She was signing executive orders.
Okay.
One it says, pursuant to Public Law 34-16, transmitted herewith is the following executive order. Executive Order 2019-22, relative to the initiative to include the Philippines to the Guam CNMI visa waiver and the H-2A and the H-2B non-immigrant worker programs.
So this is the Philippine...
Yes.
This is to open up the Philippines to more travel for work. What's H-2A? Is that for... Is that
maybe
like
nurses?
A travel? Oh, like professional licenses
I think so.
No, that's H-1.
Okay.
I
don't know.
I've never heard of H-2A before. There's H-2B. Anyway, maybe it's the travel one.
Okay, maybe it'll be here.
No idea.
There's countries, the 12 countries that are currently participating is Australia, Hong Kong, Brunei, Japan, Malaysia, Nauru, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and United Kingdom. It's just to waive their... It doesn't say.
Was it the resolve clause?
Okay, so the resolve clause says that, 1, the chief advisor for Guam EDNIA shall research and develop a strategy to assist in the inclusion of the Philippines as an eligible country to the H-2A and the H-2B non-immigrant worker program and as a member country of the Guam CNMI waiver program.
The chief advisor for Guam Economic Development and blah, 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 that's former Governor Carl Gutierrez.
Yes.
Okay.
In doing so, the chief advisor for Guam may work with participating governments and to ensure alignment and support for any requests to the U.S. Secretary of State and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security.
Okay.
B, work with volunteer members of the community and seek their expertise and resources.
Okay. What else?
And C, with the written approval of the governor, consult with outside experts and retain the services of such experts/advisors or consultants as necessary in performance of his duties.
Is there anything else?
D, utilize the assistance of all departments and agencies of the government of Guam who are hereby directed to provide as much resources and assistance as possible. Number 3, the chief advisor shall submit a report with recommendations and supporting documents to the governor of Guam by March 1st, 2020. Signed and proclamated at Hagåtña, Guam, the 16th day. Oh, that was today.
Chalo, so...
What is this?
It is absolutely nothing.
No, honest. Be honest.
I swear to God.
For reals this time.
For reals, it does absolutely nothing.
Because that's his job, right? He's supposed to be doing this.
His job. And
he's doing it already, right?
Yes, and he works for her in an unclassified, politically appointed position. So this was a dog and pony show. That's all that is. It's putting on... They're just trying to have another media event about it. But that's his job.
Already.
And they even had to they're even restricting his job because they say with the written permission of the governor. That's like, miss, can I go to the bathroom? You know, like, That what a waste of time and paper that this administration is. Anyway, we have two big stories to bring you in our next segment, Guput Gabini. I was going to bring you the YouTube of the legislature's public hearing today regarding Senator Will Castro's bill to codify the Office of Homeland Security in the law rather than.
I don't
executive
understand
order.
that. I thought Office of Homeland Security exists already.
It exists right now under the authority of an executive order issued by Governor Felix Camacho in, I believe, 2004.
So Homeland Security is not the federal government. Homeland Security.
So every state and territory has its own Office of Homeland Security, and it was created shortly after the war in Iraq started, or somewhere thereabouts. Right after President Bush created, or in Congress created, the Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So before, the president's national security advisor used to be in charge of whatever, and that was a position within the White House. And then the President Bush lumped in all of these different functions throughout the government and created new functions and put everything under immigration and customs enforcement, border patrol.
It's almost like a task force.
Created TSA. They put all of it under one umbrella, Department of Homeland Security, run by the Secretary of Homeland Security. For Guam, the equivalent is a Homeland Security advisor, a local Homeland Security advisor, under what Governor Camacho put it under an Office of Homeland Security, which was kind of like side by side with the Office of Civil Defense, which had always existed, right? With an administrator. And so there've been kind of like two people in charge of this place, and sometimes there was like overlapping jurisdiction. So there has been a Homeland Security advisor and an administrator for civil defense. Now that administrator is a classified position. Chuck Esteves holds that position, and the person who's supposed to be on top of this entire organization is the Homeland Security advisor, which is a cabinet level position and should be confirmed by the legislature. That's one of the things it does, but it also modernizes the laws to accept things like
dengue. To help with dengue.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
To help with things like remember how like people were always hacking our stuff, like stuff like that. What do they call that? Something security, like whatever it's called.
Okay.
But because we have a couple of big stories, we don't have to listen to what happened in the legislature. If you want to hear that boringness, it's on the Guam Legislature's media channel on YouTube, and it's the hearing from this morning conducted by Senator Clint Richell. So we're going to take a smoke break, and when we come back, we'll get to Guput Gupit.